Greeting everyone. Here, let me not do this incorrectly. There. Greeting everyone, Nathan Nerdarch here from Nerdarchy, for nerds by nerds, and today we are talking about some monster mashup here on Thursday night. With me I have a nerd.
I'm Kienata, and tonight we're going to talk about the craziness of bugs. Now, strictly speaking, this is not a monster mashup, right? This is kind of a continuation of what we were doing. We've been working on these chaos wastes. We can't use Thri-Kreen because that's intellectual. Yeah, see, I told you. James Leslie said he's not muted. Awesome job.
Ding.
Yeah. So, but tonight we're going to try and come up with a good way to do these scarab people, and we have kind of a piece of concept art right there. Is that the right? Am I pointing in the right? No. Right there.
Right over
That's
here.
Right.
That is correct.
So,
look at that beauty.
Yeah, I'd point some random direction. It is gorgeous, gorgeous, beautiful. And my peanut.
So we just snagged that off the internet. Basically, that's just kind of like an idea. It made me think they were going to be cool, so I said, "Yeah, let's go with that." So that is just an idea of them, rather than when you think, "Oh, replacement for Thri-Kreen." So praying mantis, no, more like a space alien.
Angry bug alien.
Yes, exactly. With psychic powers.
Exactly. So scarab people.
Yeah.
Dung beetle people, basically.
Yeah, kind of. Well, I wanted to start with just a general gist of it, because we went a little bit on world building, kind of the history of what happened. So we're calling them the scarab people, I guess, for right now. They're some kind of bug, but they've probably lost their wings, and they have psychic powers instead. So they're an ancient people who started out as a carnivorous pack of roaming nomadic beetle folk. They ate whatever and whoever they pleased. They built tools, weapons, and large structures made of a mixture of waxes and dried oils that is excreted as protection for the carapace form from glands that run along their mouth and back. So I guess they would just kind of do that almost like cat thing, just with different parts of their body, and then they'd rub the oil on that. Basically, would harden into a hard shell, so they wouldn't look as smooth, I think, as they drawing to the right here, but they would have this molted look to them, I would think. These different layers of glossy coating that they would put on themselves.
Yeah, Lincoln's immediately going into trying to stat this thing out. So we want this. The goal here is a playable race as the end product, right?
Yes.
Okay, so if we take some of the structure drinking too much tea is perfectly acceptable. If we want some form of structure, we can take what we get from the player's handbook as far as playable races and some of the other stuff in order to determine statistical bonuses, what's reasonable. Obviously this thing has +6 charisma.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. That is correct.
So
yeah, so stat wise, I'm not that interested in doing the stats right here. But let's say instead, let's grab a few creatures that are already races, and then we'll have an idea of what we can kind of go with it. That's what I'm thinking. So okay. I'd like to do that first, because that's kind of the traditional monster mashup so far. Exactly. That's how we roll with it. So.
Bunch of aliens acting like cats. Zarift. I'm the only one acting like a cat. But basically what we're trying to do here is we can't use Thri-Kreen, so we're making our own bug species that's going to exist in and around the Chaos Wastes in the Nerdarchy setting. And I did, last time we were streaming, I had a number of people ask me, is this going to be an end product? Is there going to be something that comes from this? So
And I
Game
said,
plan?
I don't really know. Maybe sometime. Right now it's just fun making homebrew stuff. But you know,
For the time
we
being.
have taken Nerdarchy stuff that was homebrew before and made things.
Mm-hmm.
So I can imagine that some things are going to follow in that vein. So if we have like smaller mandibles, I wouldn't really give this guy a bite. Is what I'm thinking. I wouldn't do that. And
Okay.
I like what the turtle has done with its having that natural armor class thing, but I don't want to just snag that and say, "Yep, done." That's what it gets, and it gets its pluses and its minuses, and then bam. So I want to have it have psionic powers. So I want to go with something that has a bit like whatever we could say would be high magic stuff. So I definitely want to look at the drow as a start. The drow, dro, whatever. How now, drow cow.
So we're going with some AD&D second ed / 5th edition once a day or once per long rest kind of thing.
That's what I would like.
Okay, all right. And then natural armor class. I think the concept that we're all getting out of this bug is that the thing looks like it can wear a loincloth and essentially have the armor of plate mail. I mean, that is really like, that's the message that this thing sends me, is good luck getting a dagger in there. So I'm kind of, and you're probably trying to scoop up a bunch of different critter stats right now, aren't you?
I'm grabbing the drow and the regular elf stuff.
Excellent.
I want to start with that because that is a good jumping off point for what kind of things this creature could actually have. Yeah, but yeah, looking at it, it's like, yeah, full plate, okay. Maybe a satchel bag or a backpack, and it's ready to go. It's ready for murder.
And we have created a matriarchal species. I'll be totally honest. Anytime somebody says anything about a bug species, I always want to do some matriarchal, like breeding centric species. That's just natural. Lincoln said, also 4 arms, which we haven't even considered addressing yet. Is there anything available to us that has 4 arms that we can draw from? Maybe a playable species?
So there's not any playable race that I know of that I'm thinking of that has that choice. Like there's no 4-armed race. The closest thing you get to something like that is the arrow croaker, who can fly and also wield weapons.
Interesting. So maybe we could some kind of built-in bonus action. So I'm gonna address Jeff Bangle. Your question just got here. Why are Nate's lips orange? We had some camera problems.
I noticed that after the stream started too. I'm like, how did that even happen? It wasn't orange before.
I bought a brand new 4K camera, and it doesn't play well with the program we use to talk to each other. So it basically exploded my computer right before the stream, and then we were in mid-recovery, and Nate was trying to get his camera to work.
I was blue. I was mostly blue for a good 10-15 minutes wondering how to fix it. So, yeah. So,
we're here. This is as good as it gets tonight.
I'll just talk like this. I'll wear a mask.
Nate, your undead is showing.
Oh, no. I hate when that happens. So I think another one that's going to be good to use is the Triton. Because the Triton's pretty good. Your strength, constitution, and charisma scores all increase by 1. Pretty decent age. Not that it matters. You know, you're medium size, normal speed, but you also have a swim speed. You're amphibious. So you can breathe air or water. You've got control air and water, so you get spells. So that's pretty good. Spells in between a long rest, and you get a nice little, affinity for the sea people and stuff.
So immediately my game balance instincts, my spidey sense is tingling, and I'm going, but how are we going to balance this thing? So are we going to have two versions of the creature, one that's the playable race and one that's a disgusting monster? Or are we going to try and bring those together?
I think we're going to be going for the player race species, and then we're going to go for the chaos blend of things.
Okay.
What do you
All
think?
right.
So basically, what you'd fight in the wild, like a wild scarab person, that's maybe chaos laced or something.
Okay. All right. So the major thing here to remember, because we're kind of basing conceptually off of the Thri-kreen, the Thri-kreen really had two flavors. There are more flavors of Thri-kreen if you're a guru on the subject and know that, but
Garlic and butter.
the most garlic and butter, exactly. I still think they'd taste delicious. But if you just want to go off the generics, there is Thri-kreen, which is the simple-minded, very much everybody's food creature, and then there's Tor-kreen, which is the more intelligent, civilized version of the Thri-kreen. So essentially, we're saying like player race is going to be our Tor-kreen, and then chaos wastes is going to be our Thri-kreen. Does that sound like a reasonable?
Yeah, player race is the Tor-kreen version.
Okay.
The chaos waste version will be like a souped up Thri-kreen, or that like fiendish, like half fiendish whatever, the Zixul or whatever they were called, that were basically Thri-kreen.
Yes.
That were red and terribly powerful.
Yeah, they had a lot of
Murderous
claws.
monsters.
They're really big.
Yeah, they were nasty.
Hard to hit.
They were nasty things.
Exactly.
So I'm looking at these guys. I think they're pretty tough. I think they're strong. I think they're tough, and they're going to have what I would consider the mystic stat, which the mystic stat in 5th edition right now is intelligence, but I went with wisdom when I was making my race. So I'm digging the Triton's strength, constitution, and charisma pluses to each. So if we did strength, constitution, and intelligence, I think that would be a pretty cool build.
Right on. Right on. Here's an interesting idea. Something that's mentioned. Raven says large arms for combat lifting, small arms for crafting, and that kind of work. What if the perspective you took on that was simply to make the second set of arms weaker? You could even make them give them statistical variance. I know that introduces a lot of granularity and possibly some weirdness to the poor defenseless players, but you could penalize those smaller arms, like give advantages to each set, like +4 strength for the big ones, +4 dexterity for the small ones. You know what I mean?
What if you said that if you tried to do things like attack or something, or shove somebody with the smaller arms, it would be at disadvantage? So you would naturally just not want to do it. So when you take a shove action, like if you're shoving somebody as your action,
right,
you would just shove them with the big arms, not be like, oh, I've got a sword and shield, and I'm going to shove you with my other set of arms.
With my strong hand.
My strong hands. My squeezing arm. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I want to work on the arms yet. I'm just kind of
okay.
leery about diving into the arms. Well, we could have two subsets, if you think about it, where the ones that focus upon the larger arms, as like, it's almost like being right or left-handed, except in this case, what do you think? You're either large arm or small arm handed.
No, it's a good idea.
I just sounded like a complete moron saying that, but yeah, I'm glad you think it's a good idea.
It's such an alien concept to me, which is ideal for bugs, but it's such an alien concept to me. I just imagine like the guy with like the huge muscular arm and then the little tiny arm. You know what I mean? But that would make sense. Yeah, and James Leslie sums it up perfectly. Sort of like worker ants versus soldier ants. I think that's absolutely perfect, and I think it's a good idea. Just I don't talk to those small arms. Those guys, Bob, they're weird. No,
So-
this is a good idea.
okay.
Ah,
It's
woo.
bizarro, but I'm glad. All right, age. I don't really care. I think like 15 years maturity, and
yeah,
then
you could do the Thrycreen Torcreen thing. The Thrycreen only lived to be about 25. Torcreen were like 75, 85. So
well, I think okay, let's say 15, 60. Like a little less than an average human.
Oh, and I just had a question. We have not shown any artwork. And this was something we had talked about. We've received a bunch of pieces of artwork from you beautiful people about ideas we've had or things that we worked on. And we want to actually take all of the artwork we've received from everyone and put it into a chunk where we can give everyone credit for their artwork. Because that's the other thing. We could toss a bunch of pictures on the screen right now, but we need to actually put names to all of those so everybody knows who did what, etc. Attribution is important. So when we get that done, we're going to do an attribution or full attribution like artwork slideshow.
That sounds like a fun idea that we should definitely do and not skimp on.
Okay, we have people that say we've got Fraginator asking if they live in pyramids. That is so incredibly trite that I don't think I can. They can't live in those. No.
Well, they only live in the flying
Egyptian.
ones.
They only.
Oh man, now I wish I put them in pyramids instead of towers.
That's it. You could do. There would be nothing wrong. When I create things typically for settings, I am the worst cultural thief you will ever see. I literally just go, oh, there was this cool tribe once that existed. They're orcs now. And boom, they're orcs now. Like I'm always stealing things from other cultures. So
Steal stuff. That's the way you invent new things.
exactly.
Take a little slice off all the cool things.
Yeah, you just grab little pieces out. Oh, here's an excellent question for you. What kind of weaponry are they going to be using?
Oh man, good question.
Because there is Thrycreen specific weaponry.
Mhm.
We cannot, like, for instance, the Thrycreen have this throwing disc called a Chatikcha.
Yeah, it's like a
that right?
3-sided triangle doodad that they toss around and it returns to them if it doesn't hit, that kind of stuff.
It's a boomerang that has no aspects of it that would make you think it would actually return to you.
Well, have you ever held one? You don't know. So I'm gonna say I would like a cool weapon set for them. They definitely can make, if they had a need for armor, they could make armor out of that basically oil residue and wax residue that comes out of their glands and their saliva. So I want them to kind of be able to make some kind of crystalline weapon. They can make crystalline buildings. Like out of this, like wasp or some other type of insect. So they can make nests and buildings and structures out of this. I'd like them to be able to make weapons out of it, but I don't know, because I like the bug idea of these aren't. I wouldn't see them as like smelting metal and stuff. So
Yeah.
either that or they make it out of their dead. So they
Oh,
make
God.
weapons out of their dead. That could be cool. I actually kind of like that scarab dung beetle kind of feel. Like recycling that's like the greatest honor is to be made into a weapon to be able to buy an awesome warrior.
The Fraginator said it's spit, Nate. It's spit.
What on earth is that?
It's a secretion.
Yeah, excrete it from their glands, you know?
I really kind of like a darker, more there are plenty of player races or species that have been made in settings that are one with nature or live with nature or somehow make things out of trees or river reeds or what. Okay, there's lots of that, but what about a species that's like perhaps religiously naturally into necromancy? Like that's their dig, right? And you can weave this story however you want, but if we start with this precedent of necromancy, then it would make sense. Like they see their dead as still useful. like
Okay.
you know what I mean?
So not necromancy in the sense of animating the dead, but necromancy like what's that called? Like
Messed up. That's
no,
usually
no,
what that's called.
like okay, so their necropolis would just be simply a storage locker for whatever they needed to do, build stuff, craft things.
Right.
They just see it as basically like honoring their ancestors.
Right. So there could be parts of dead ones in the structures they build. There could be parts of their dead ones being used as hunting equipment, as tools to build things. They could be using the dead for all kinds of things. And I also kind of imagine them, say, creating like a queen or something like that, perhaps having. Never Enough on Twitch says Kopesh swords would look so good, and I couldn't agree with you more. The Egyptian theme is going to be really hard to shake, if even possible. It's
I agree. I mean, it is really cool.
Yeah,
The backdrop for that is nice.
desecration for the greater good, absolutely, Fraginator. But my I guess my argument here would be that they don't see it that way. They see it as functional repurposing. I was just talking to someone about ant colonies the other day, and ants are very interesting because if you're an ant, a worker, and you're injured or not functional anymore, they essentially send you to the graveyard to help pick up trash and put dead ants in the graveyard. And then when you die, you're already where you need to
You're
be.
already there.
Yeah, it's incredibly efficient. So when I was thinking of this bug species, I was like that. What if, I mean, resurrected, the scariest thing I ever dealt with was a small army of resurrected or animated Thri-Kreen undead that are essentially just hollow husks that you had to deal with.
Nice. All right. So this is coming along. It's getting a little dark, but
I think this is a great way to present the necromancy can be a good thing argument to Dave. we can win the battle. I believe in you.
Yes, welcome to the necropolis.
James Leslie said, well, scarabs generally eat the dead and only leave behind building items, so the chitin and bone of the enemy. Yeah, there's so many angles we could attack this from where necromancy could be interpreted as a functional thing. If you're a queen, and I don't know if that's a structure we're using, but if you're a queen and you decide to raise dead on a bunch of your workers so that they can continue to work, if you're pragmatic, you'll be like, yeah, we just have workers we don't have to feed now.
Oh man, this is like the Zerg and the those robot dead things in Warhammer all smashed together.
Exactly.
I did, Seraph, I did not see your comment on the 6-armed Pharaoh Queen idea, but that sounds pretty sweet.
Yeah, that sounds fantastic. I'd like 6 Queen Pharaoh
and
bug creatures.
James Leslie says that would work. Well, Tim, you broke your leg, so we're moving you to the janitor work in the Hall of Dead until Bill comes by to make you into a shield. Yes, the Necrons. That was it.
Exactly, Necrons.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Necrons, you kill them, they get back up. Possibly one of the most frustrating armies to play against, but yeah.
Sorry, I'm so used to spelling nerd, I just went N-E-R. It's Necropolis. There we go.
Nercropolis.
Nerdacropolis.
It's a special kind of place.
Yeah, so I think, let's see. So we're talking strength, constitution, and intelligence for these guys? Just overall, just a little bump to all those?
Mm-hmm. I'm down.
Okay. Now, I'm looking at this, and I want to get across the point that they are wearing something that eventually can get smithed into to items and things and be useful. So I'm wondering, do they do a special treatment when the creature dies, or are they just that hard and we need to kind of show that in their abilities? So should I have basically I'm asking the question, should I have grabbed Tortle to keep it in mind?
I think I can't even say what James Leslie said. Zergacronians.
Yeah, like the Zerg Necrons.
Yeah, I think you could definitely. For me, I feel like this is not a dexterity bonus thing. This is just a straight Tortle armor class bonus style thing. So that's what I'm seeing. They are bugs. Generally, the assumption is that bugs are dexterous. That is not always true.
No, sometimes they're kind of oafy, but
yeah,
they move pretty fast for what they've got going on.
Here's the interesting combination from Twitch. Never Enough said you can use the secretions to harden the carapace of the dead for weapons and shields. So perhaps a combination of using bits and bobs from, like, I'm chopping up Nate and I'm like, man, Nate's arm is going to make such a good club. And I put some secretions on it and then I have super awesome. No, yeah, this that could work. A combination of the things they have available might work really well. Zerift wants the full Zerg direction. He wants you to be able to infect things and turn them into Zerg drones.
That might have to be the monster version. The chaos,
yeah, exactly.
The chaos scarab people.
They have to be playable races at some point.
Yeah, I'm trying to craft a playable race here, so we're limited to a certain extent on what these guys are. But just think about it. Ogres are just big guys, pretty much. They're just people that have been corrupted in some way. They like to eat things and they don't care what it is. They like to have shiny things and they don't care about people. So that's basically like the difference I'm looking at. So we've got like humans and then ogres. We could have the scarab people and then the terrible Zerg horror stuff. So we don't have to try and shove this into the race as a whole. We can shove it into basically a monstrous species, like a giant of this, or an ogre version, or orc version.
I really like the idea of a giant version of it. Something that's tainted by the chaos waste. That's just absolutely horrifying.
So is it too far? We've got everything from +1 AC, like the Warforged, to the natural armor of just straight AC 17. Is it going too far to say, well, if you can give someone an AC 17 and they can just dump their dex because it doesn't matter. So that's nice to be able to just free up a stat because it won't matter. Could you just really legitimately say, like, Constitution plus Dex plus 10 for these guys? I'm leery to do it. I'm worried. I'm concerned.
So I'll tell you, I got feedback on that exact setup. In my classless system, I made it so that you could get unarmed or unarmored defense. And then the upgraded version of unarmored defense wasn't just dexterity plus, I think I did 12. It was dexterity bonus, con bonus, and the 12. And I had several people tell me they thought that was a little too beefy. I still don't think it is.
Okay, so the thing is, you can eventually have a 5 in your dex and con. You
Yes.
get all the benefits of +5 to attack and damage with a ranged weapon and dex-based weapons, and you get the +5 hit points every level, and now you have a 20 AC and a 22 with a shield. So that's what I see as, like, that's without non-magical bonus gear and all that kind of stuff. So if you could say, yeah, you have your carapace, you can't wear armor. So let's go with the Tortle negative. You basically don't wear armor. But it's variable based on your stat rather than. So basically, if you pick something that's not high con, not high dex, you're going to have a low armor class, so it won't be as useful. And if you play a barbarian, a monk, or a sorcerer, dragonborn sorcerer, you're going to have, it's going to be a doubled up thing. It's similar to how all dwarves have access to martial weapons, and the mountain dwarf gets a +2 and a +2 because they're basically, great fighters. But if you take fighter, a lot of their stuff is kind of washed out.
Meh.
So in this case, if you're a barbarian, if you're a monk or a dragonborn sorcerer or whatever else actually ends up getting the... Actually, I had several of the psionic classes that I created have ways of having other ways to calculate your armor class. So those would all be just... This racial ability would just be a wash for them. Similar to, I guess I feel freer to do this because they did it with the turtle. I would just rather actually do the calculation instead of have it straight flat 17.
I tend to agree with you on the idea of limiting it. My argument for not having a problem, like the stat setup you gave with the 20 armor class and the bonus to hit and everything else, I always do comparisons in relative power level between different character classes. And my standby for what can a wizard do always makes it look like if you're a barbarian or a fighter or a rogue or anything like that, you never really look that powerful when you compare yourself to at level 15 plus, when you compare yourself to a wizard. The dude can nuke you. You'll never see it. You'll just be dead. That's kind of the direction I went in, but I can definitely see trying to use similar balance scheme to what they used in the Player's Handbook or other books.
I'm going out on a limb for this, but I like it.
I like it. All right.
I understand that there is... I guess basically I would not do this. Okay, let me say this. If all I had was the UA, the Unearthed Arcana Warforged to consider for armor, I'd be like, I really don't want to do that. Because they're +1, they counted it for so much when they were doing the write-up for Warforged. But this, after they came out with Tortle, I don't see an issue with doing this instead.
Okay. All right. I'm down. James Leslie, I think we're definitely doing two versions. I don't know if we're doing two playable versions. I think the intelligent, functional, sociable version is going to be just a version, and then there's going to be a chaos waste version. We have 2 hours to get this done in. If we had 6 hours, maybe we could develop every version that occupies the hive. But
yeah, I would like to just do this one and then to kind of take a break from the scarab people and move on to something else.
We had a bunch of different suggestions in there. Emiliano Garcia, I'm probably not saying your name right, I apologize. A giant bug wearing and using other giant bug exoskeletons is intimidating. That's kind of my mental image. It's literally I just imagine an insectoid with a bunch of extra carapace on it, just covering one arm, like an old school gladiator or something. And it's inscripted, scrawled in to tell the story of the warrior that used to be. There's a story with this piece of armor. It's this bug's grandfather or something. And for them, that would be a really incredible thing. They'd be honored to get to wear it. But to an outside observer, you'd probably be like, that is the most messed up thing I've ever seen. That'd be like Nate wearing a relative's bones right now.
That's full necro right there.
Yeah, exactly. That's incredibly dark stuff.
Be like, these are my family's bones. I wear them to protect myself.
They still have arms to carry a shield, so they should get the added AC.
Yeah, they will be able to. If you're using a shield, you can apply the shield's bonus as normal.
That's an interesting interpretation. James Leslie said the more we talk about them having a tribal or being tribal, using their own people and necromancy, the more of a voodoo vibe I get.
That's a good point. So what do you think? I got spine carapace. Due to your hard outer carapace of your body, you are ill-suited to wearing armor except the old husks of the dead. Your husk provides ample protection. However, it gives you a base AC of 10 plus Dex plus Con.
Mm-hmm.
You gain no benefits from wearing armor, but if you are using a shield, you can apply the shield's bonus as normal.
Okay.
We can refine that further on, but I think I'd like... Okay, do you remember the Life Shaper halflings from Dark Sun? It's okay if
Yes,
you
I
don't.
do.
Oh, you do? All right. So
I
I
do.
like the cool things they could make out of it, and I think that these guys would do something not as involved and like a biotech as the Life Shaper halflings, but I think that's...
Yeah.
I thought I visualized them doing like, after tens of thousands of years of using the dead, they just know what to make out of people. You know, they just know.
Yeah, absolutely. Brian Smith said, "Are you making sea urchins?" We are not. We are making a replacement for, like, the fundamental thing here is we're replacing bug people that are IP owned by Wizards of the Coast with bug people that are IP owned by Nate. That's what's happening.
Yeah, pretty much. All right, now with this carapace, I really can't give them too much else.
Okay, let's read it here. Read it one more time. Due to your hard outer carapace of your body, you are ill-suited to wearing armor, except the old husks of the dead. Your carapace provides ample protection.
Yeah.
However, it gives you a base AC of 10 plus dexterity modifier plus constitution modifier, which is awesome. You gain no benefit from wearing armor. So we would want to, at some point, discuss how these carapaces of the dead could be used as armor then. And
yeah, at some point.
Yeah.
I would think they would give, like, you could make like a claw, like gauntleted thing for attacking. Basically, like, you know, like a souped up version of your own hand.
Like
a power fist, a power claw. And you could also, you know, make shields out of people. So that's what I would think you'd go with that.
Okay.
So as far as extra abilities beyond this, I'm kind of not seeing us being able to give them. I kind of don't see it. I want to take the strength away. I think I want to take.
You want to take the strength away? Okay.
Yeah.
I definitely see tough. I don't think any other physical stats are necessary.
Yeah, I agree. I think we're just going to leave it. Increase your Constitution and Intelligence scores each by one.
James Leslie has a question. I think the basis of this question is the concept of multiplicative bonuses, people being able to stack benefits. James Leslie's question is, Nate, if you do the AC that way, how are you going to rule on monks and barbarians?
Okay, so whenever you have a way of calculating AC, if you have an alternative way of calculating AC, you choose which one you're going to use. That's it. So basically, similar to mountain dwarves get martial weapons that aren't simple weapons. They get like axes, and they get mountain dwarves also, I think, get armor and that kind of stuff. That you would say, well, if you're a fighter, you don't get anything extra. You're just a mountain dwarf fighter, you know. So at that point, you're losing some benefit. So that's just that. That's how that would work. You would choose which one. And in this case,
it's a trade-off.
Yeah, it's a trade-off.
It's a trade-off, yeah.
Yeah, if you want to be a mountain dwarf fighter, well, yes, you could have been a mountain dwarf other thing and use the benefits because you're getting armor and you're getting weapons. But, yeah. So the same thing here. If you're a barbarian or another thing that gets an armor class, ability to calculate armor class in a particular way, it's either this or whatever the choice is. And in this case, this is pretty much the barbarian's armor class thing. So anybody that becomes a barbarian, you know, you're just soaking up the fact that a big usage here of this race is taken up with something that you already get.
Right.
But that kind of happens in everything. I mean, do you, as a high elf wizard, do you really need another cantrip? Not really. It's nice, but it's really cool to be a fighter and have, you know, be able to shoot fire or ice out of your fingers every once in a while. So
Zerift I don't think we've fleshed out anything. His question is, what would you call their queen? Just a queen or something else more interesting? I don't think we've fleshed out any concept of a hive.
No.
Right. I do like the idea of, especially for insect species, I don't think an insect species would have much concept of gender. Like, everybody does the same jobs, everybody looks the same. Only one member of your species, if you're in a hive, only one of you actually does something different than everyone else. And then, like, if you're ants, everyone's a girl. Every single person in the hive is a girl.
Okay.
So I think them having some, like, I don't think them having any concept of genders kind of would be realistic.
Okay,
Maybe
if they were based off of bugs.
Right, if they're based off bugs.
They just look like they're based off bugs. We can go that route. We could have it where they're really alien mindset, where they don't have what's it called? Basically, they don't have dimorphic species. They just have simply everybody and the one really important person.
Right. Exactly. Their perspective would not be, I'm a boy, you're a girl. It would be, we're all the same. And then there's the really important one that I have to die to protect.
I kind of like that, and I kind of don't.
Well, give me both direct. Tell me what you hate first. I'm used to hearing that from you.
Okay. What I strongly dislike about that idea is that it's a bit too alien for player character race. Do you know what I mean?
I do.
Like, why are you out? Why are you adventuring? Why are you doing anything if you're beholding to this one entity? That right. And you can make the race go extinct by killing those very important people. And I don't like that idea.
The extinction thing is really easy to cover. You can simply say that another female in the species is elected queen.
Well, another one in the species is elected queen.
Right. Another member of the species, like, hey, you're up to bat. Let's go. And then you have a new queen. The first concept, though, I do completely sympathize with. Oh, I saw that. What was that?
So what I was thinking was, since they've kind of like got the psychic active stuff, maybe they go through some kind of like dun 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 dun, like kind of like mind combat or whatever to vie for the top spot, because maybe it's very psychically stressful to birth the entire nation.
I imagine.
Just possibly. So they basically have to go through a dominance hierarchy to figure out who actually is the one to be chosen.
I see. We can tell a story with this. I would return, as playing devil's advocate here, I would return to your original point of alienness. If we could still have this concept of the very important one, the species that doesn't really have a gender identity, because why? But they don't necessarily have to be subservient just because of that. They could all be quite individual and quite unique people, and be very much their own thing. Now, if you wanted to go with a more subservient queen bug kind of aliens sort of thing, we could do that for the Chaos Waste ones. They don't need a society. They just need to kill players and offer up XP when they die.
I want you to just pop and give me treasure and XP when I hit you. I don't want anything else.
Come on, level 3, die.
Yeah, all right. So let's sideline that for a little bit, but I like it. I'm just leery about choosing that as the kind of the fate for the entirety of the race right now.
All right. Well, there was oh my god, what is that? Trial by stone.
I was thinking, you know what? I thought this would make this would get great. Exactly. Like that. I was thinking
by stone. The dark crystal.
Yeah, but rather than hit it, they all have to sit around it, and the one that like goes unconscious from communing with the crystal stuff Blast
Okay.
is the one that.
I think the idea of the emphasis on psionics for how to resolve conflicts, that also kind of goes back to my classical like naturalist David Attenborough approach to
Uh
things,
huh.
where you can choose a winner, have a competition, but nobody had to die. And if you're living in a huge community like this, having someone die just to see who's the best is not the best way to go. Even in the wild, animals that are competing over breeding rights don't typically kill each other. Most of the time, that's accidental.
Yeah, you
Um,
just want to basically show who's compete for who's the best, and then everybody else
right,
is going to assist the species as a whole. Who knows? The
right.
best guy might get killed by something next week. You know?
We elected Bob, but he was eaten.
And he
So
defeated everybody else, so and they're dead. So we're dead. We're all gonna go extinct. Yeah, there's
we
no many of
chat.
those. There's no many. There's not many. There's none of those left that did that as their way of doing things, killing the oppositions.
Yeah, I can't imagine. It's just, I don't know. We had chat's exploding over here.
Oh,
Uh,
sorry. I should pay attention to it more. I'm like,
Brian Smith said, but bees have gender-based roles within the colony, don't they? Kind of. Males are produced in a bee colony specifically to deliver sperm to the females and then die.
yeah,
That's
that's
what
not
they're.
a good. That's not a good way to go for this.
Ants are exactly the same way. There usually aren't any ants that are males. Most of the time, the males are produced, they deliver sperm, then they die. As far as genetic diversity is concerned, typically the way genetic diversity takes place in hives, because all of the females, all the ants that exist in a hive are clones of the queen, basically. Um, or more, I guess more accurately would be to say that they're clones of each other. So when the queen goes on her nuptial flight, a male from another colony may show up, and then you have genetic diversity. But other than that, typically guys aren't much use of anything. They really only have one job, and then they're toast. So a concept of gender would be much harder to get across to a species that has no interaction with anything but either one gender, or just simply doesn't have a sense of it.
Yeah, because they don't even like produce. They don't even produce 10 males and have them kind of like develop the competency hierarchy and then pick the best one. They just say, oh, like push button, get bacon. This is what it sounds like.
Push button, give bacon. You're done now.
Then you're done. All right. I've been looking at this, and I am considering the feat from Xanathar's Guide to Everything, Drow High Magic, as the solution for how we can stick psionics on these guys without making the race the Yanti purebloods. Basically, I don't want to go the route of the Yanti purebloods, and I say
right,
that.
Give chat that ability. Give me all of it.
Okay,
what is
so
it? What is that going to do?
Okay, so basically the well, in this case, we're taking Drow High Magic and we're going to convert that into like psionic stuff. So what is it? I think you get, what is the Drow High Magic going on here? Okay, so you would get Detect Magic Spell at will, Levitate and Dispel Magic, and you get those when you finish a long rest. So not those exact things, but what I'm saying is you would get access to some amount of spell power that would be bent towards psionic power. Whether that was, maybe they get Detect Thoughts, maybe they get some other type of, I don't know, like Locate Object or something like that. Because it can be as high this in the case it's Dispel Magic, so it's a 3rd level spell. And Dispel Magic's really nice. So
yeah,
and so you basically like a 1st level spell at will, like Detect Magic, and then Levitate and Dispel Magic once a long rest. So that power level is what I could see as just being a feat. So at 4th level, you could be like, yep, I'm psionically active. I'm this scarab man, whatever.
Zarift brings up an idea. Zarift, I'm not sure which direction you're going here. I think what what he was drawing this from was the concept of why would they adventure. Zarift was saying, what about exiles that are cut from the hive mind? I don't even know if there's a hive mind to speak of yet. But
that would be like getting kicked out of the dominance hierarchy, like,
right,
or something of that nature. Basically, like, you're stripped out of everything. And you're like, well, I'm never going to be queen. I'm never going to be anything. And
or you
I
could
just
have
kind of
someone,
feel like going my own way.
one of them they sent to the graveyard to go work the graveyard, and he's like, no, I'm out. I'm leaving. I know that just a particularly strong-willed one. That's not unusual.
Well, maybe you go to the graveyard and you're saying to yourself, I'm not going to be made into anything awesome when I die. I need to continue on before I'm going to be made into anything except a shovel.
Exactly. I do not want to end up a wall.
Yes, I don't want to end up a wall or a tool for like digging ditches.
Exactly.
I want to be like a warrior shield or something when I die. So
James Leslie brings up an interesting idea. And by the way, we have a multitude of votes for Animate Dead as a daily ability. I don't know how you feel about that, but Rayclaw Icefire is hardcore about that Animate Dead right now. James Leslie says, if we are going as a ruling body, I would suggest they are chosen by the ancestors or the spirits of the waste. I do like the concept of some form of, I don't know, a tie-in to their past, like an ancestor spirit or something. You could even go with like the avatar tree, and they're all like USB ports for braids, and they just plug into the tree. Exactly.
I'll have to get back to that on the structure of that, but I like it. I think we should capture it and set it aside.
Okay. Brian Smith said, do the males engage in these crystal challenges to breed? I don't know the specifics yet on, would there be lots of males and females? Would it just be all female, like most bugs that live in hives or clutches or broods or whatever? I don't know.
Could be like scarab chickens. They lay eggs. There's males and females.
Bards in the basement said my cup is trippy. Here you go, guys. This is for you. This is what happens when you use a chroma filter on your camera.
Invisicup.
Invisicup.
Oh, and thanks for the follow. I did not catch the name, though. Did you happen to catch the name, Kienata?
I am not even looking at the alerts. I have failed Twitch. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, I didn't catch it on OBS, and then I tried to switch to the other ones, and I'm like, oh no, I'm watching it in 144. That's not good. I can't see it. So it's just like a blur up in the corner that said somebody's name's following. So thank you for the follow. Just
Zero Cool Prodigy was the follow. Thank you for the follow.
Thank you.
There we go. Yeah, sorry. It took me a minute.
All right. So we can get rid of this emissary, the sea stuff, all this Triton stuff. We can get rid of that. Get back that nice picture.
Ooh, okay. Axanar had a moment of genius here. Not that you don't more frequently have them, but I really like what you did here just because I feel it's clever. If you rearrange Scarab, you get Sabrak. Like as a name for the species. You had a name picked out, and I wasn't a fan.
That's okay.
You guys should vote.
I wasn't a super fan either. So we're thinking about taking a Scarab and kind of
rearrange
chopping it
Vote,
up.
Chat, you have a mission in life now. Continue to rearrange Scarab until it's amazing. I'm gonna vote for Sabrak. That was the first one. I
like Sabrak. It sounds like imposing, like some kind of, something you'd find on Farscape or something. Like, exactly. Oh God, not the Sabrak.
Never Enough on Twitch said using the dead as host for the young. That is an interesting idea. There's so many cool ideas. This has become kind of a theme, is that we have 900 cool ideas, but we only have room for 10.
Yes, unfortunately.
Fraginator, have a good night. Thank you for hanging out, buddy.
Yes, see you around.
Interesting idea, Rayclaw. Psychic eggs, which so Rayclaw's idea is different than what I immediately went to with it, but Rayclaw's concept is psychic eggs, no gender needed. The queen births the offspring from the collective through the hive. So, and maybe this is the exact same direction you were driving at there, Rayclaw, and I'm just not seeing it. But essentially, a collective of psychic energies. Maybe all of them are in the queen. Like she has hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of imprints inside her.
And she almost like reincarnates somebody as a...
Right. She has a baby, and the baby is Fred, who died 6 years ago. And now Fred pops out as a baby and lives again.
I really like that a lot. I really like it a lot.
There you go. Way to kill it, Rayclaw. Okay,
I'm really digging Sabrak, too.
That is exactly the direction Rayclaw was driving at. Okay, cool, man. Cool. Okay, Patrick Keller said, okay, I just looked up scarab information. Scarab swarms, like in the movies, are actually unnatural. Like other swarms in D&D, scarabs actually live in mated pairs, male and female. Yep. And they typically just play with poo and lay some eggs in it. They don't do a lot of stuff together. They're not like social, you know what I mean? Like they kind of all do their own thing where like I hang out with the wife for a while, we have an egg, we put it in some poo, we have a baby, and then we're done.
All right, so let's say the queen has that special task, but maybe there are mated pairs. But basically, if you want to have a chance of having a relative that had previously died, because they're all into that like reusing the dead kind of thing, so it's almost considered like bad. I don't know, mojo, hoodoo, voodoo, to have a child without the queen's blessing because she basically imparts an ancestor to it. Do you know what I mean? So it's basically the queen is a very necessary component of society. But I don't know. I kind of dig the super alien. They're all just females. But
it not only does it I always go the naturalist routes. You guys, at some point, I'm totally going to rain on the parade of awesome ideas because I want stuff to work to at least some degree. I'm a total party pooper like that, but I love the idea of the hierarchy of the queen and of the kind of semi-genderless thing we're going with here, just because it makes so much sense for bugs. It just fits the bill. The idea of are we going with Sabrak? Can we just start calling them that?
Yeah, I've already used that like in a couple things now.
Okay, cool. So the concept of two Sabrak.
It's too easy to say Zabrak.
I know, this is the downfall. Coming together, maybe they just come together and be like, we're in love, and go to the queen, and the queen would be like, yep, you're in love. And they'd be like, we want Uncle Tom back. And they'd be like, okay, no problem. The queen's like, okay, no problem. Poop, here's Tom. Have your baby. And they'd be like, awesome, thank you. And then they just go take care of a baby.
Well, like foster parents in a way.
Precisely. Like they don't necessarily need to have their own baby. They just essentially get handed a baby by the queen. Maybe there's like a ritual that goes with this.
Insects
where they
in love.
Yeah, exactly. They impeach the queen for baby rights. Would it be the queen or the shaman that gave the blessing? How tribal are we going? So I don't know if there'd be shamans or not, but James Leslie brings up the interesting idea, just how simplistic culturally.
They're a fallen empire is where I'm coming from with them. So they've already gone from tribal to civilization to empire, and now they're scattered. So they're at a strange spot right now.
So they could still have some vague semblance. Like if you look at post-apocalypse settings, you'll see tons of crazy stuff happen, but military organizations in much of the fiction tend to kind of coalesce back together into these weird paramilitary groups.
Well, it's safety, it's survival. Killing everything that tries to kill you, you're the one still alive.
Exactly. So that would kind of make sense if you take that kind of post-apocalypse humans perspective. Granted, they're nothing like humans, but you get the idea.
If they would survive in a terrible downfall of an empire, they're going to have certain qualities that, you know, humans have also had. Oh, that's why it sounds so cool. Zabrak is a SW race?
Yeah, it is a Star Wars race. Totally is.
Oh, they're the red guy. That's Darth Maul.
Yeah, we're dead.
That's why it sounded so cool.
We can't use it. Oh, Bard's in the basement left. His phone died.
No. All right. Well, back to the drawing board.
Never Enough said the queen is the host of the elder spirits, but then you'd use like a shaman or some other interdisciplinary person, someone who is a go-between. I don't know.
Like a
to
midwife?
impart. Yeah, I'm not sure what you would call that. To impart the spirits to the couple. So.
Sabkar just doesn't have the same ring to it.
Fragginator said crabs. He came back literally just to say crabs. With 2 A's. Scabrak, Brachus. There's a bunch of good suggestions. We're going to run out of these eventually. Good spot on that one, though, guys. That's a good. I'm glad someone noticed that instead of us being like, heck yeah, we have this awesome race and they do all this cool stuff and they have this crazy culture. And Darth Maul. Oh, God, why?
Scabrax, I like that.
Brachus. Brachus was.
Yeah. Sarubar.
Zarift. Zarubar.
Yeah, I'm just going to put them all at the top here.
I think we're just going to keep saying names until we find something.
I think we're going to move on. You got chat can keep it up. Capture these.
We are going to record chat for later.
All right. Size-wise, what are you thinking? 5 to 6 or 6 to 7? Or 6.5, like 6 to 6.5.
Here's the problem. I want the crazy one to be that lives in the chaos wastes and has crazy powers. I want it to be huge and have way more arms than it should.
Okay.
This doesn't have to be what you do or anything. I'm just throwing ideas out there. I want that thing to have like 8 arms and be crazy death god looking thing. I want the queen to be bigger than everyone else.
Okay.
And I kind of am leaning towards the smaller species. Does chat want to weigh in on this? YouTube, Twitch, I'm watching both of you right now. If you guys want to weigh in, yeah, James Leslie's already throwing in ideas. Females up to 6, males up to 7. That will be typical of mammal species. The males are, well, mammal humans. That's not typical of any other mammals, just mammal humans.
Brian Smith, Sazerac is pretty cool sounding, just to say. I think that's definitely got my number 1 spot right now.
Patrick Keller said insect females are generally bigger.
Yeah.
Russet Man has an interesting concept where we're trying to decide on size. How would we get new colonies? Would they swarm like some bugs? Which is an interesting concept. That's a big concept to tackle. Not that you're on the spot or anything, but
yeah, I'm gonna have to pass on that. I don't know.
Hard pass.
That could be really cool.
Hard pass.
That could be a cool way to do it. I guess the thing is now they're kind of broken. Species-wise, it's like if you had a whole bunch of human travelers from like a chaotic aftermath of like a volcano erupting or something like that. They're what's left. A few thousand out of probably millions.
I'm more in the like 5 foot concept.
Let's go 5 to 6 feet. Give them a little variance,
5 to
but
6. Yeah. I really, and there are tons of concepts you could use for how they propagate how they spread the species out to other areas. One of the easier concepts that you could use is we had discussed earlier. Me and Nate are bugs, and we're madly in love with each other. And me and Nate go to the queen, and we say, "Hey, we need a baby," and she gives us a baby, and she says, "But that baby's special. It's a queen. Go make a new colony." And then we leave and make a new colony. We were in love for a minute there, Nate.
Okay, it's just like you could have just made up 2 people.
You're here. You get used in all my examples.
Oh,
Live with it.
no. All right. Only epic heroes from now on. That's what we'll be building from here until the end of time.
Elliot Cantu, Sukarabe, like Chupacabra, Scrabix. That sounds like a board game. What letters do you have? Scrabix, I win. I don't know.
It's like Skrillex there. Good times. Levitate, is that a 2nd level spell? I think that's a 2nd level spell.
Well, you're filling in super awesome magical abilities. You have all the power.
I'm just kind of altering this so it doesn't say the spells that I don't want them to have. So
James Leslie said that name sounds like a sushi dish. Nate and I were having a discussion earlier. I don't have too many details about it because it had other stuff in it. But basically, I was discussing the fact that I think Thri-Kreen would taste delicious with like some butter, garlic butter or something. So
crabs,
more on that
desert
down the
crabs.
road.
Yeah, Zaref Gaming, if you got an idea for something you want to chat it up, you can either give it to us over in Discord in the message, or you can email me. Nate the Nerdarch.
PM Discord.
I think Nate the Nerdarch at nerdarchy.com works right now. I've actually got a pro email right now.
Pro. You're so pro. When I grow up, I'm going to be cool like you. I'm going to be a Nate the Nerdarch when I grow up. It's going to be awesome.
Okay, so the Chizarak were a race in battle lords of the 23rd century. Axioneer, you get like 1 million nerd points. Awesome.
That is, yeah.
All right, so weapon proficiencies. I kind of want to say they do get something.
James Leslie, I was interrupting you here. James Leslie had an amazing idea. Ditch levitate for meld stone.
Can they affect husk carapace stuff?
But that's what I'm saying. You could do meld stone parentheses carapace, and then it could just be spit in carapace that they could move. They could use that ability on.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is one of them.
Oh, James Leslie, you're the best.
Thank you.
Raven wants carapace coloring.
Carapace coloring.
Yeah, what do these guys look like? I just got obsessed with forearms and craziness.
Yeah, we haven't even really discussed the forearms. They're kind of like an after thing. I guess we might have to take the one of the arms off. What do you think? I don't know.
I really like the idea. We should go look at the colors of. Why do I want to call them Zerg all of a sudden?
Because they look horrible and terrifying.
There's tons of cool color schemes for them. Never Enough said they're hunted for their delicious crab-like meat.
Naxabram is an anagram for Scarab Man. I think that's a pretty good one.
Yeah, but that starts to bring up very reminiscent thoughts of Egypt.
Yes, it did make me think.
Yeah, the method of or that naming convention.
That's not terrible.
Yeah, it's not terrible.
They just live in towers instead of pyramids. And they live in a desert area.
Patrick Keller wants the forearms to stay because there are no other forearmed races.
Yeah, but how to work the forearms in
is complicated.
Okay, let's make them dimorphic in this way. There's going to be a subset that uses those arms differently than the other. Like I said earlier, there's going to be basically like being left and right-handed, like large or small arm-handed. But I don't know what that looks like. I just know I'm going to write it down.
I still think statistical variance between the sets of arms creates in anime. They have a totally unrealistic design for powered armor. Sorry if you're an anime fan and you like this design, it absolutely is ridiculous, but it kind of brings up a good concept for this. Like an Appleseed, they used it, one of the more recent Appleseed movies. Basically, you have small arms in the powered armor that are essentially your human arms, and whatever you do with those, the big arms do. So you could choose which set of arms you use, or maybe you could do, I still think the stat bonus thing. I still think the idea of making it so that the small arms have lower strength and higher dexterity. Okay. And the big arms operate on strength, but with a dexterity penalty.
I think that's really hard to do. If you can give me a nice, elegant mechanic for it, I'm getting closer to accepting it. But without an elegant mechanic, not doing it.
Yeah, and we are definitely getting some people that are voting for all four arms here. Geeks and Undies on Twitch said keep arms that could help with moving through, burrowing through sand. Yeah, and in real life, scarabs have many legs.
Do we want to give them a burrowing speed?
Oh,
I know.
I don't know.
I just don't know.
James Leslie says, I don't think you have to change anything if the smaller arms are tucked away for the most part. They would only be used in non-combat situations like skill tests or eating or something like that.
Like stowing and drawing an extra item, or like interacting with an object.
If the smaller arms are a little bit weaker and kind of took a back seat, like they folded back a little bit, kind of got tucked down when they, just in general, little tiny T-Rex looking things, that might work.
Okay, so what if it gives you a free interact with an object, like an additional interact with an object?
That is way easier than my stat bonus mess. Okay. Anybody else think I'm feeling the interact with an object thing? Anybody else? Never enough said utility arms.
Yeah. Well, I mean, those could also be something where you can do, intricate work, but also have something else going on. So you could be carrying something heavy and also be like opening doors. Yeah. I like the burrow speed though. I'm digging giving them a burrow speed.
I'm on the fence on burrow speed. Why is my question.
Well, what else are you going to do with 4 arms?
Everything at once. Eat spaghetti and make a pie at the same time. I don't know. Beetles, burrowing speed. All right. I'm not comfortable with burrowing speed. That's what I'm trying to say.
How about we give it half their base speed? Burrow.
Still really fast to dig.
Oh, right. A third of their base speed for burrowing.
Is anybody with me? I need people to pick sides right now. Mom or dad, pick one.
Oh my gosh, this is an hour and 15 minutes so far.
This is going to take Axon R1's burrow speed 5. Any other votes? Yeah, I know. Well, hey, I hand someone a shovel and say, "What's your burrowing speed?" It is nothing close to.
It's 1. The burrowing speed is 1.
James Lacey said, but they aren't digging. They're using their spit to dissolve the stone to move through it. Now it's acidic spit too, though. We're introducing more variables. I've got several people saying no burrow. Are you watching chat?
I'm seeing lots of no burrow.
Yeah. It's up to you. You get the ultimate decision here.
All right, let's Papa wants some burrowing. All right, let's say no for now.
Yeah. All right. Victory. Victory is mine.
Fly speed.
Yeah.
They've got wings now.
What?
Fly speed.
No fly speed.
No, actually, they make some kind of membrane spit in between their two arms.
You're killing me. You're killing me.
No.
You're just introducing. You have to go through the bottom of the tower to get to the top of the tower, and it's full of traps. Fine, we fly.
Fine.
Okay,
we fly.
but there's an anti-flying bubble. Fine, we teleport. There's an anti-teleporting bubble. I feel like you're GM blocking me right now, Nate.
All right.
Spend around to burrow. They can obtain concealment. That is acceptable. They just spend a round to burrow. They can't go anywhere, but they can try and get in low enough to get some concealment out of it. I would be willing to concede that. What do you think of that?
So basically, they just kind of shove dirt on top of them?
Yeah. It's not the same as a person trying to lie in the sand and lob sand on themselves. These guys have 4 arms, and they've done it their whole lives.
I like that.
Yeah. Like the turtle hide in the shell ability. I can't believe that exists.
Yes,
That's
they can hide in their shell. It's true. That's what why I don't like about it, is that I wanted to try and not take anything else except like the nice armor from that concept.
Mm-hmm.
But it could definitely be done in a similar manner.
More of a glide. I am adamantly against any form of flight.
Oh, it's no big deal. Archers take care of our Kokra all the time. There's
so many. If you guys dig around on the internet a little bit, you will see the rally against flight. Man, people get upset about that.
So
Great.
Are we going to do the two types of handedness, or are we just going to do the... Because if we do the two types of handedness, I think we should do... They always get a plus to con, but then they either get a plus to dex or a +2 to intelligence, based on if they're handedness, But it doesn't really work well. Never mind. Next stat.
Right now, all they have is a con bonus and an intelligence bonus and natural armor. Innate psionic abilities for the playable race would counterweight the fact that they don't have as many stat bonuses as other people.
Yeah, that one less stat bonus is rather nice.
I will also say that there are mechanics here that we can't account for, that we don't really have a way to write something down for this. And this is something I do in my own designs. There is a role play element to this. If you guys saw one of these walking into your village, you'd probably get a rope and a couple torches and try and kill it as quick as possible.
Pitchforks and torches. Summon pitchforks?
Right.
Pitchforks before it. Torch. Pitchforks and torches.
You're a winner. But I'm just saying, like, that element of gameplay, that role play element of gameplay, probably something that could be accounted for if you wanted to throw in another stat point, or perhaps the abilities it has, its innate magical abilities are strong enough. I'm just saying, people are definitely going to chop this thing up and eat it if they see it outside of where it's supposed to be. So saying everyone hates you, sometimes that warrants a little buff statistically.
Oh, the drow bonus.
Exactly. Well, not as heavy-handed as the drow, but the drow are ridiculous. Russet Man gives a vote for burrowing. If we don't do burrowing, we could give them bonuses for digging through earth. And Never Enough still thinks you'll taste delicious if you're a bug.
Roasting.
I'm telling you, man.
All right. Are we getting any weapon proficiencies?
Weapon proficiencies kind of tell a story, though, right?
Yes, they do. I would think that they should get access to some kind of clawed glove thing that's made from the dead. I think that's
Cestus. That is in gladiatorial arenas. They had a thing called a cestus, which took lots of different forms, despite the fact that D&D may have made you think it only took like 1 or 2 forms. But basically, it was like a leather glove with a bunch of tree resin that attached crushed glass to, or a bunch of spikes on a metal gauntlet or whatever.
What about if they just got a natural attack?
A natural, like,
Yeah,
claw bite?
like they can just
claw bite. Why you guys went directly to dual wielding great weapons? This is why there are no 4-armed races in the game. You guys are the reason why. How are you ridiculous? You could do a strength bonus, like bonus damage, if you had 4 hands on that thing.
a 4-handed weapon. Quad wielding.
Nobody went with, what is that? The evil Jedi, the Sith guy who's in a robot body and fights with 4 lightsabers.
Oh yeah. General Grievous or something, right?
Thank you. I was about to fail the nerd test here. It counts because he said it.
Yeah. I'm allowed to help you cheat.
Yeah. The 6-armed races, did they bring spellweavers back at some point? Because I haven't seen those since AD&D 2nd Ed.
Oh, he's saying great sword and a tower shield.
That's ridiculous.
4 cat of 9 tails. That's like 36 tails. Okay, so we can either go with a natural weapon that they just get, like, I don't know. Well, D4 is kind of the standard. But D4 is lame-o. Who cares about a D4 weapon? Minotaurs have... Oh, Minotaurs aren't done yet, are they?
No. Native J806 on Twitch said the upper arms could do some slash damage and the lower arms could do pierce damage. And that makes me think a decision on damage? Slash or pierce?
I'd like just slashing, I think. I think I just like slashing. Okay, so instead of having weapon proficiencies, unless they're proficient with stuff, basically they can slash with their arms.
Okay.
So maybe their upper arms are really just for like mangling stuff.
Ooh.
And then they can wield weapons and do tool usage and other things in their little arms.
Oh. Okay, I like this a lot. So their upper arms, it could be fluff based and simply say they lack the dexterity to do any basic tool usage or anything like that. Their lower arms are capable of doing this. You could even pop the thumb off and just say, no thumb, good luck with your 2 fingers.
Yeah, so it's more like just this, like, big, monstrous claw things. So let's say they do D6.
Yeah. So a D6 claw attack with your upper arms. You're just ripping things to shreds with these.
Yeah.
Slanishi things from Mr. L. That is where my brain went. I'm glad I'm not the only one. Yeah, large resin claws like Baraka. Yeah, so the lower arms exactly. Patrick Keller says, so the lower arms are actually like human arms, and then the upper arms are oversized. I absolutely think that's a good direction.
Yeah.
And then who knows? Make them asymmetric. Big claw, small claw. Oh, like a crab.
Well, that's what it is. It's basically the smaller ones are human size. And then you'd have like these big, like hulking, like
So
talon.
this is my big arm. I'll get that nice and close to the camera so it looks huge. Doing 1950s camera work here. And then this is my small it works. Jump. Having just a one-man army is a good idea. 2 small arms holding a shield, and then I really like the concept of differentiation between the arms and what they would be used for. And now it's much easier for me to imagine a hunting party going out. And perhaps the hunting party, some of the warriors or hunters have attached carapace pieces to themselves to give them much more terrifying looking upper arms. So they're like, hunting a wild boar with their hands, which is horrifying. Definitely not going to want to walk one of these guys into a town with the party. Like, you go rolling into town and somebody's going to XP thunk. Like, different tendrils on the head represent different clans. Zarift, this creature is really the kind of thing where I know a few concept artists, and I have conversations with a couple. This is the kind of thing I would want to throw at a concept artist and be like, go, and then just take whatever pile they send back to you. Subspecies or clans.
All right, so I don't know how the wording in the end is, but basically the idea is it's melee weapon attack. It does D6. You're always considered armed, and you always are considered to have 2 weapons ready. So if you've got weapons in your human-sized hands and your human-sized arms, and you want to attack with a sword, and you've got a shield, and then you could technically, I guess, use like a bonus action to strike with one of your arms, one of the big arms. But I don't know. It definitely needs some work. This is just definitely super preliminary stuff.
We've got the concept down. We've got the basic idea down, and we've created differentiation between the arms, which I think is the primary goal here. And never enough is saying he's echoing what you're saying. He said bonus action with big arms, so definitely. Grapple with the lower arms. And then attack with the upper arms. Absolutely. There'd be all kinds of sick combinations you could do with these.
Thanks for the host, Bards in the Basement.
Hey, thank you, buddy. Appreciate that. Zarift Gaming. What if they have an ability like the insects in the Mimic? They can digest themselves in plain... Oh, disguise. I read it as digest, and I was like, that's disgusting. Why would you do that? Disguise themselves in plain sight.
You mean like camouflage or something?
Yeah, just predator in the background.
That would be super cool, but I think that's going to be too many abilities.
Chaos version?
Oh, the chaos version? Absolutely.
Maybe we'll take that over to the chaos version?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. I kind of want to set this aside.
You've had enough?
I think I've had enough. There's like a lot of stuff kicking around. I think we've got some generic abilities that are happening so far. We've got a feat that they can get. We've got their base abilities. I feel like they're missing something, but that's usually good, because you don't want to create a race and then have to take away 1 or 2 really like keystone things that you've developed. So I'd rather take this, develop the storyline, and talk about how that all works, and then go back and say, well, maybe we can like shove one or 2 little things in there.
Okay.
All right.
Next, are we going to do the chaos version, or did you want to hit something completely different?
I want to hit the let's move on to a different type of monster version.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm ready for a Scarab Man break.
Scarab Man break.
Or Sazerac. Or Naxabrim. Sarubar or Sabkar or Scabrax. Yeah, one of those. So
Patrick Keller said, the Chaos Wastes are basically powdered bug people empire, so camouflage makes sense.
Yes, there you go. That is true. All right, hopefully it has switched over, and I'm not stuck in some kind of weirdness.
I am...
Yes, it has switched over.
Okay, sweet, yeah.
Now, with this thing, we were talking about templates, and we were talking about general, like, adding these different kind of modifier words to creatures, and just be like, oh, look, it's a chaos squirrel, or it's a chaos lizard. So I started developing this chaos imbued templates, and I'm actually going to use this at some point. But I just kind of ran off with a good 18 or so of them. And this is also, I think, how we could say the mongrel men kind of can come about. So we've got enraged, enthralling, scintillating, dusk, brittle, enduring, devouring, oozing, corrosive, coalescing, vampiric, infectious, parasitic, elemental, para-elemental, immortal, rotting, and deformed.
And context for this.
And 19 is deformed, and you gain immunity to chaos storms.
Which would explain the great white whale that lives out in the chaos ways.
Yes. So context-wise, we were talking about, like I said, we were talking about the chaos kind of changing things and altering them forever. And one of the things that we wanted to do was be able to have a convenient way of making a monster, or taking just a regular creature out of a monster manual, slapping this template on, and saying, well, now it's an enraged lizard folk, or now it's an oozing Nothic. And one of the things that I thought about with that was there would be some outward sign to kind of say, yep, this is aberrant, this is not normal. And for enraged, I'll just go with, let's see. So outward signs, along with these incredible gifts born of chaos, some outward signs of its influence show. So with enraged, your mind and body have been altered by the storm. Whether a perceived threat is near you, you may burst into a rage and attack. So you gain the following benefits. So you gain a +2 strength and a +2 constitution. You have advantage on strength checks and strength saving throws. So when you make a melee weapon attack using strength, you gain bonus to the damage roll that increases based on your total hit dice. So very similar to the barbarian table. So if you're at 5 hit dice, well, if you're at like 20 hit dice, I know you get like +4 or whatever normally. So if you're at 20 hit dice, you would get +4 from being an enraged, I don't know, seraphim or whatever is a 20 CR. So your outward signs is your breathing is ragged, you growl unconsciously, your muscles bulge in unsightly veined exaggeration. There is no hiding your strength and might, nor would you care to do so. So if you can imagine some kind of regular creature being an enraged version of this thing, it's evident that something strange has happened to this creature.
And this is essentially a toolkit for any GM would want to create a creature that exists in the chaos waste. They can just crack their monster manual and then reference this and make a few rolls. And erotic is definitely not on this list, guys.
What? Rotting. I said rotting. I'm pretty sure I did not say anything. I said vampiric. Maybe that was one of the what you're thinking.
Oh God.
Two-headed fire-breathing phase doppelganger linear bombardier giant sandworm.
Exactly. So you'd be able to very quickly, using your monster manual creatures as kind of your archetype, you'd be able to throw all these variables in and be like, boom, here's your chaos waste thing. Now, I have a question about this.
Sure.
Unless you're not done with your description. You can finish your description before I start laying into you with questions.
Well, there's an enraged one. So scintillating would be the sight of your body ripples, distorts, or shimmers, making it you hard to look at for more than an instant. So it's going to give you special benefits, almost like if you're using sight to see this thing. If you don't have tremor sense or something, or blind sense or whatever, you're going to have issues with attacking it and being attacked by it. So basically giving it a kind of, it's not invisible, but it's not easy to actually engage it by looking right at it. So that's, during the night you can kind of always see it. So there's a benefit there, but there's also an issue with, during the day it's kind of difficult to look at, so it's always got advantage against you, and you always have disadvantage against it, even though you know where it is. It's just one of those, you're attacking it by not looking at it, which is not very easy to do.
No, there was a guy who had trouble fighting this chick with all these snakes on her head. Yeah. So
You're right. So the outward signs for this might be that you grow scales, fur, feathers, crystals, or long whiskers all over your body. They shimmer and sparkle at all times in a disorienting and distorted manner. Thankfully, you are immune to this visual stimulus. So
my next question, because a lot of the original examples we used when we were discussing the Chaos Waste and its effect on things was players walking into the Chaos Wastes and becoming mutated. So if I'm an enterprising barbarian and I would really like to be better in combat, and I decide to just go chill in the Chaos Wastes for a while.
Until something good sticks?
Yeah. 4 arms. Next day I've back down to 2 arms, but now I'm scalanting or enraged or enthralling or something. What's the effect on player characters? Is it the same set? Or
I want to say it's not an instantaneous thing, so it's something like, oh, you've been wandering the wastes for a month and you don't have any protection against it. Strange things will start to happen to you. I wouldn't want to use this on players simply because unless you wanted to play a game like that, like, oh, you all died the first episode because we're actually playing undead this game. You know, like if that's your campaign, then sure, maybe give them some kind of extraordinary template edition if everybody gets it. Why not? But I would not want to just say we're going to randomly roll for this because you spent a day in the Chaos Waste and the Chaos Storm happened.
Exactly. There were a few different things that players used to do. I used a Gamma World. There was a Gamma World written for AD&D Second Ed that had random mutation tables, and I had a drug in one of my games that was this mineral that players could ingest. And if they ingested enough of it, they lost a point of constitution. If you're familiar with red steel or cinnabar, cinnabril, it was similar to that.
Okay.
Players would ingest the chemical and they'd lose a point of constitution and get to roll on the random mutation table. And there were players running around with a constitution of like 6.
Yeah, you know they're going to keep doing it.
Yeah, exactly. We can. How many more? I have 3 con. If I go to 6, it's not that bad, guys. Let me get one more roll in. Like everyone was just chugging it down. I was like, nobody's going to do this. What fighter is going to give up all his con? The fighters are going to give it up.
A fighter that finds an amulet of health. That's the fighter that's going to give up all his con.
Exactly.
Be like, I got a 3 when I take this off, but I've got a 19 all the rest of the time. Thank you, magic item.
Underwood Sketches said, I haven't played super long, sadly. How do Medusa encounters usually go? Are the players smart about how it goes, or are they bloodthirsty or not thinking it through fully? If they're smart about how it goes, the Medusa's dead and they just win the day, usually handily. If the players aren't smart, they're usually trying to figure out how to move a 700-pound statue afterwards because someone got turned to stone or, yeah, so.
Yeah, the petrifying gaze is pretty nasty. If you fail it by too much, you're like insta-petrified.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you slowly start to turn to stone.
Yeah.
So you're just restrained, so.
The Medusas are a really nasty creature to have to fight against. Typically, I wouldn't throw a Medusa against players unless it was, like I've used a Medusa as a big bad for a Wanti cult, or Yanti, or Wantai, or however you want to say it. But I had a cult that was essentially worshiping this, and they killed all the cultists, and then there was the stereotypical Hollywood. There's a bunch of, stone statues of people everywhere, and they figured out it was a Medusa like in 2 seconds. But they wrecked her. They ruined her day. She was dead in no time at all. So if they're smart, it's easy.
Never Enough says negative effects like mundane or feeble. There are quite a few things I would consider negative effects on this chart. Dusk, brittle, devouring. I'm thinking it's going to be some kind of where you need to consume things. and certain things would have a subchart. So elemental would have a subchart for the different elements. Para-elemental would have a subchart for the different para-elements, which are things like magma, dust, void, that kind of stuff. So those would all be there. Rotting is another one that's basically makes you a zombie. So who wants that? Infectious, you're got some kind of plague thing. Parasitic, you have to have somebody else to live. So
okay.
you like
That's horrifying.
You might do something like, I don't know, drink blood, consume flesh, or like so you're basically a type of creature that's like an undead kind of thing, like a ghoul. You're basically a living ghoul at that point. Oozing, not very fun.
Oh God.
Corrosive is good if you like walking around with nothing on except maybe like a resistant loincloth. And don't want to hug anybody ever, you know?
Here's the deal, Neil. I've got exactly enough spell components to make your loincloth resistant, but everything else, you're done.
It's going to have to go.
Have someone else carry your equipment because you're going to destroy all of it.
Yeah, so I'd say half these are not good.
That works. That works. Zarift Gaming said, why all of a sudden am I thinking of the deck of many things? It's the exact same conundrum, Zarift. It's the I will offer you something good with a high probability of something bad. Most players, I would say, don't have a sense of self in the role-playing sense, so they will throw themselves or their characters in harm's way with very little consideration. So just on the chance of something good happening.
So one other thing, so for vampiric, I wanted to split that up into blood, psychic, and moisture. So you could either like drink liquids out of people, drink blood specifically out of them, or psychically drain them.
That's disgusting.
That's awesome. It's 3 more monsters that you wouldn't have had before.
Dude, that made me think of Tank Girl. Do you remember the suction thing?
Oh, yeah.
The water. A full deciliter of water from your body. And there you go. You've got it.
Yes, that's wonderful.
Or eat their skin. That's a pleasant thought.
There you go.
I just got a taste for skin.
So, I mean, you might find carcasses in the wastelands that a particular thing is missing from them. And you're like, what in the heck is this? What's going on? This guy looks like he's been... Why are all like these 5 people look like they've just been flayed alive? Like, well, that's because something's very particular about what it eats.
Hellboy, the tooth fairies. Oh man, nightmare fuel. Those things were terrifying. So if you haven't seen Hellboy, there are little fairies in the beginning of the second movie, and the fairies rip out teeth and eat them. That's kind of their gig.
They can't just wait.
Yeah,
it's like sugar. They gotta have the teeth. Or Mr. L says, or a specific organ like a liver. I like that. Nice X-Files reference if that's what you're going for.
I want to make a halfling charlatan in this world and try to sell the Sands of Chaos as a cure-all remedy. These will save your life, make you potent, return your hair. The Sands of the Chaos Wastes. They can fix any ail. It's snake oil all over again. Yeah, I like that idea.
Except it's like radioactive snake oil.
Yeah, exactly. You could grow an extra leg out of the middle of your back. Like, we don't really know what's going to happen. Oh, we have another idea about the bugs.
Okay.
Natives going back to the bugs.
I think I've had enough of a break. I can go back to the bugs.
Sorry to go back, but I got an idea about the bugs. You could do a sub race. Like a hunter-gatherer has a large upper claws. Oh, okay, so differentiation. Okay. The hunter-gatherer then would have the large upper claws. The defensive queen's guard would have like shield-like upper arms. Oh, this is very reminiscent of the Tyranids the Tyranids have something very similar. They have warriors. They have essentially like a Queen's Guard group.
Mhm.
They have a Carnifex, which is my favorite.
Carnifex.
Yeah, well, that's kind of, you were talking about the bugs in the Chaos Waste, and I was like, Carnifex is instantly in my brain.
I can't get it out.
Exactly. So
It's like not thinking of pink elephants, not thinking of Carnifex in the Chaos Waste.
exactly. How can you not have giant evil? I guess tank crushing. These would be like castle wall crushing bugs, but yeah. Count as a cool grab, like a hook skewer. Oh, El Miliano. El Miliano, you have to let me know if I'm butchering your name or not, or maybe give me a phonetic spelling or something so I can do it better. If the large arm was piercing, it could count as a grab, but it would be, instead of grabbing hold of something, you would skewer it.
An impale attack. I like it.
Yeah, that's horrifying. Yeah, an impale attack. I don't think we're going to get to finish the chaos bug tonight.
No, definitely not.
It took so long to get the playable race down.
Yes, that was rough. But we have a good start. A very good start to it.
Exactly. And that's still the random mutation tables.
I finished looking at those. Oh yeah, so to go back to that one, they had the enduring, which is basically like a type of regeneration. Mm-hmm. So you can kind of see where I took inspiration for that. That as like pretty much the troll regeneration, just yanked out and used for it. So,
Mr. L, I like the scene you're setting up there. You're traveling through the wastes. Roll initiative. Just what? No, I want to leave. No. Hide under the sand, impale attack. That would be horrifying. Just a claw comes out. Anytime there is a hidden creature that suddenly appears and its primary thing that it's doing is harming you in some way, that's nightmare fuel for me. That's avoid that. Stay away from that area. I'll never go onto the ice in Kredgfer's Belt. I'll never walk on the sand in the wastes. I'm just going to avoid those places. Maybe I'll just stay in town all the time and cook or something. I don't know.
So what if a little valley in the sand dunes is actually an antlion lair?
Exactly.
And when you start to fall down, it kicks up sand to make you fall faster so it can eat you and then hang out down in its little hole again. That's it. It's like mini sarlaccs just everywhere.
See the concept, the chaos tiger ant. I love the idea of the tiger ant, Raven, but I like the idea of an ant that would inflict debilitating pain and not necessarily be like large in stature. So a small creature that would disable a player on a successful hit, but only if it's successfully hit. You know, we're trying to get off like one successful hit, some form of check by the player. The player fails, he's just out of the fight for the rest of it. It's not going to kill anyone.
Like a hold person paralytic poison.
Precisely. But instead, for our flavor text for it is you're in so much pain, you literally can't move. So,
I like that. I dig that. Oh, what if the scarab people raise psionic boulets? Sam Parsons.
just psionic sand sharks.
Yeah, psionic sand sharks. Oh man,
super not cool, man.
Super awesome.
Oh yeah, Zarift brings up a really good point. What's the sleep schedule looking like for a bug? Generally speaking, insects need very little sleep because they have very short lives.
They just burn out.
Yep.
I think they should have kind of like the elf trance thing going on.
I'm going to admit to something. I loathe the elf trance thing.
As a GM or as a player?
Both.
Oh, really?
I don't like it. I don't like it as the fluff. It doesn't matter to me as a mechanic, but the elf version of sleep, really? You meditate? That's how we're going to explain it? Like, when I did the article for Nerdarchy about elves, my elves just needed less sleep. Just like 3 or 4 hours once every 3 or 4 days. No problem, right? But weird meditation sleep. I hated it in Stargate too. Stargate SG-1 when I watched that show. And Teal'c was like, no, I'm good, man. Just need to meditate for a little while. My crazy worm in my stomach's going to keep me going. I was furious. I was like, no, that's not how a human brain works. Anyway, sorry.
Well, these aren't humans, so it's totally fine. And elves aren't human either. They're way better than humans.
Axanars knows what I'm talking about. He said, yeah, he dislikes the elf trance. I hate the elf trance.
All right, so
goofiest thing.
Would they just need less sleep, or they sleep 8 hours like all the schlubs?
Like all the schlubs. I think this is an easy choice. This is a chat choice. You guys should decide. That's my position, because I absolutely hate the idea of elf meditation. If you guys want meditation, vote for meditation. If you guys want to see these guys get normal amounts of sleep, which would be weird for a bug, but that's fine, vote for that. Let us know what you would like them to have. Yeah, just less sleep.
Less sleep.
Less sleep. Short rest 4 times a day. That's my sleep schedule. I take 1 short rest 4 times a day. I got up and I ate breakfast. It's nap time, by God.
You know, I actually kind of like that. Basically, if you take a total of 4 short rests, you have slept. But
I was joking.
That's way too good. That's way too good.
Well, we should ignore the mechanics. We should ignore the mechanics while we're deciding on fluff. It's just sleep. And ultimately, even if you told players, like there have been so few situations where the amount of rest the players could immediately get was actually valuable for anything.
You still need 8 hours of downtime, regardless of whether or not you're unconscious, for a long rest. So, all right, let's say less sleep, but they can fall asleep in any position.
Just standing.
Like, almost as if they lock their body into position and then, like, shut down, like, pass out.
The android thing.
Kind of, but they're doing it with, like, the way their carapace sits. It's almost as if, you know, like, there's just a natural way your body would, like, flop on the ground if you just fell down right now. So it's that same kind of, like, there's just the way their carapace is made. There's a few positions that they can sleep in. Let's not say any position. So they couldn't be, like, doing, like, a rock concert. Like, yeah, like, they couldn't be doing some kind of crazy, like, on one foot thing. But maybe there's, like, a crouch position they can sleep in. Maybe there is, like, a reclined, maybe with their arms wrapped. It kind of locks them into place, and they can pass out. So maybe there's a few weird alien positions they can take and fall asleep in. So
I'm in love with the idea of weird positions.
Yeah.
I'm in love with them essentially sleeping like a horse. They can sleep standing, right? I'm totally into that. Axanar brings up a really interesting idea that is a beautiful counterbalance, fluff-wise, as far as them requiring very little sleep. They can't be woken up when asleep unless they take damage. They don't respond to sound. They don't respond to sight. You can shake them and rattle them. They're going to stay passed out. But if you injure them, they would wake up. So they literally like shut down for a predetermined period of time and then turn back on. I think that's cool fluff-wise. I think there's some story you can mix in with that.
Huh. I like it. I like it.
It brings up the Hollywood scene of the 2 idiot humans walking through the crypt, and there's all the sleeping bugs standing on both sides of them, and they're like, don't make a sound, they'll awaken. You know what I mean? Like that old Hollywood thing they used to always do. Things wake up, people. You can't sneak through like that.
Okay, so they require 4 hours of sleep. but will not awaken while those 4 hours are going on, unless they take damage.
Right. Well, James Leslie, that's exactly the point I'm going at. We're counterbalancing a mechanic of requiring very little sleep and having 4 hours count as a long rest for them by saying your party has to deal with the fact that there's no way to wake you up unless someone pokes you with a knife or sticks a torch on you or something.
Now, 1 damage when you're first level is a big deal. 1 damage when you're 15th is not.
Right, right. So it eventually just goes back to the realm it started in, which is entirely fluff. Not the end of the world.
But let's say, a giant monstrosity comes in and kicks you because everyone else ran and they're like, oh, get away. And everyone's like, you were supposed to stab him with a dagger. No, you were supposed to stab him with a dagger. Oh, crap. And then he gets kicked through the air past them all and splats against one of the trees. They're like, okay, he's awake now.
We are quickly running out of time, but I just want to bring up one more thing that Native J806 said in chat in Twitch, something to maybe make a note of. He said needs double or triple rations, but can then go without sleep, which is another interesting mechanic that ultimately relies on fluff.
Well, they'll still have to do the long rest mechanic if they want to get the long rest benefit. Just keep that in mind. That's a thing that's pretty much hardwired into Dungeons & Dragons 5e.
Mm-hmm.
Even elves have to obey it, even though they meditate.
I just imagine like the party's doing stuff and talking to each other and the bug went to sleep and everybody's got a plan and then they go to tell him about it and he doesn't answer because there's a carapace and no visible eyes, so they can't really tell if he's listening or not, and then they're like, are you asleep? And they can't, like, that could be an amazing moment. Dang here.
Oh crap, let's tell him in the morning.
Are you asleep? I am not asleep. You are not saying anything interesting. Like, just
Never Enough, 1969. They can use their large arms to latch onto surfaces and make it able to sleep in hiding. I like the idea that they can kind of like hook themselves onto things.
Bat sleep.
And just fall asleep like a cicada or something.
I would like to be able to do that. I would like to just reach over and grab something and pass out.
Yeah, well, there are creatures that can do that.
Sloth can do that. That's usually because they got their little paws wedged in. Bats do that all the time, but they have hooks.
Well, these guys have got carapace. They could have like, pretty nasty claws on these D6 damage things they got going on. So I could see that happening. Well, I can't believe we talked about the scarab people for like an hour and a half and then got to showcase a little bit of my chaos template. It's definitely a work in progress, and I'm interested in making the chaos template a product sometime down the line. So probably the next time you see that, it will be as a PDF. Hopefully. I'm going to be working on it. We'll see. So let me know what you think in the comments below on YouTube, or you can also message us, nerdarchy.com. You can also email us at nerdarchy@gmail.com. And anything else that you would like to say, Kienata, before we sign off?
Love you, miss you, bye.
All right. And then with that, until next time, stay nerdy.
Stay nerdy, guys.